So assignment AF5V, you're allowed to use a calculator. Number 1 says here are 7 numbers. There's 7 numbers there. Work out the range of the 7 numbers. The word range means the highest value minus the lowest value. So we just have to look for the highest and the lowest. If we look at these, then we see that 26 is the highest, and looking through them again, we see that 17 is the lowest. So we just have to work out 26 minus 17. Equals 9, so there's our answer, 9. 1 part B, what is the median of the 7 numbers? The first thing you have to do for median is to arrange the numbers in order from low to high. So let's take these 7 numbers, look through them. We know the lowest one is 17. Then there are 19, 2 19s. Then there's a 20 and a 21, 25 and 26. So those are arranged in order. Now to find the median, we look for the middle of that list of numbers. So we have 3 on the left below the middle and 3 above the middle, and the one in the middle is 20. So that is the median, 20. Number 2, which shape has exactly 1 line of symmetry? So A is a regular hexagon and it has many lines of symmetry, I think 6. I'll draw in a few of them. Another one over there from diagonal to diagonal, and so on. B, parallelogram, has no lines of symmetry. There's no way you can fold it. C, yes, there's a line of symmetry down the middle there, but that's the only one. There's nothing across because they're different top and bottom. And D is an equilateral triangle, and that has 3 lines of symmetry going like this. So the only one with 1 line of symmetry is shape C. Question 3. Which of these is a cube number? Circle your answer. Cube number means something multiplied by itself 3 times. So 1 is 1 times 1 times 1. 3, no, you can't think of a number multiplied by itself 3 times to give 3. 9, no, 3 times 3 is a square number, but it's not a cube number. 21, nothing. 81, yeah, it's 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. That's 3 to the power 4. It's not a cube number. The only example which is a cube number is 1. Number 4, Jim buys a car for £5,000 and he pays a deposit of £1,400 and he pays the rest in 36 payments. Work out what each of these payments is. So if he pays, it's worth 5,000 and he pays 1,400, so there's a balance. After paying the deposit, the balance will be the original price of the car, 5,000, minus the deposit that he's paid, 1,400. So when you subtract that, you get £3,600 remaining to be paid. So the monthly payments will be the total amount of money, 3,600, divided across the 36 months. So that's a nice easy calculation, and it's just 100. So the answer is £100 per month is what he has to pay. Question 5. 140 men and 60 women were asked if they drive to work. Altogether, a quarter of the people said yes, a third of the women said yes. What fraction of the men said yes? So how many people were there altogether? People, It's going to be a quarter of, now we've got 140 men and 60 women. So we have to add those two together to get the total number of people, 200. So a quarter of 200 is going to be 50. So 50 people said yes. Then 1/3 of the women said yes. So we can write down 1/3. And how many women were there altogether? 60. So we work out 1/3 of 60. 20 women said yes. And then we're asked what fraction of the men said yes. So we know that 30 men must have said yes, because 30 plus 20 makes the 50 altogether who said yes. So 30 men out of how many? There were 140 men altogether. So 30 out of 140. You can cancel by 10, but nothing else. So we're left with 3 over 14. I can write my answer there. Question number 6. Says boxes A, B, C and D contain balls with numbers on them. So we can see the different numbers in there. Move it across a bit. There you are. A ball is picked at random from each box. Which box gives the least chance of picking a 3? So we have to work out the probability of getting a 3 in each case. So box A, there is probability of getting a 3 is going to be, well, how many 3s are there? There's just one ball with 3 on it out of 6 altogether. So it's 1 out of 6. And for box B, probability of getting a 3 is 1 out of 3. And box C, will be 2 out of 4. And box D is there's 2 3s out of 5. Now the question asks which one gives the least chance. So we have to look at the 4 fractions and decide which fraction is the lowest. You can use a calculator to work out 1 divided by 6 and so on, and you'll find that 1/6 is the lowest fraction there. So 1/6 is the least value. So that corresponds to box A. Which 2 boxes give the same chance of picking a 2? So now we're looking at trying to get a 2. So if we look at the 2 boxes, chance of getting a 2 in the first box is there's 3 chances out of 6, or a half, equivalent. Chance of getting a 2 in the second box, there aren't any 2s, so it's 0. Chance of getting a 2 in the third box, box C, there are 2 out of 4, and 2 out of 4 is equal to a half. And the last one, there's only one ball named 2, so there's 1 chance out of 5 and we see that box A and box C have the same probability of getting a 2. So that means that A and C both have a probability of a half. I'll try and write it in here. A, 3 over 6, which is a half, and B, I'll put them all in just to show my working, if you like, 0. C is 2 over 4, which is a half, and D is 1/5, I think I said. Yes. Question 7. Maria records her weekly sales. So we see here the sales are along the vertical axis and the weeks are along the horizontal axis. And it says every week her costs are £100. Work out her profit in week 3. So week 3, well, week 1, first of all, her sales are 180. I can write that at the top there just to save some work. Second week, 230. The third week, 200. And the fourth week is 90. And we're asked in question 7 part A, work out her profit in week 3. In week 3, her sales are 200. Sales are 200, and her costs are £100 because it says every week her costs are £100, so it's the same every week. 200 minus 100 comes to 100, so therefore her profit is £100 in week number 3. In week 4, her sales were half of week 1. She says this means that my profit in week 4 was half my profit in week 1. Is she correct? You must show your working. So can we work out her profit in week 4? Her sales were 90, and week 1 her sales were 180, so it is a half. Her sales are a half, definitely. She's right there. But what about her profit? Let's try and work that out. In week 1, the profit was 180 minus 100, because the costs are always 100, comes to £80. And in week 4, the profit will be her sales of £90, I think it was. Yep, 90. Minus her costs of 100. And so 90 minus 100 actually is minus 10, which means that she actually loses money in week 4. And 80 is not double minus 10. Minus 10 is not a half of 80, so she is wrong. Maya is wrong. Question 8. Work out the value of 2x minus 3y when x is 6 and y is negative 4. So we just put these in. 2 times x, 2 times 6, minus 3 times y, which is negative 4. So altogether I get 2 times 6 is 12, minus, and 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. So I've got 12 minus negative 12, and minus and negative is the same as plus positive, so 12 plus 12 is 24. Question number 9. Points 1, 3 and -1, negative. Let's make it bigger, shall we? I think I'll make it a bit bigger. Yeah. Points 1, 3 and -1, -3 are the diagonally opposite corners of a square. So let's mark those. 1, 3. Here. And -1, -3 down here. These are the diagonal. That's the diagonal of a square. So what would the other diagonal look like? Imagine another diagonal crossing over at right angles through the middle. Looks like that. So where are the other two corners? We look along that other diagonal and we can see that if we go the same distance along the other diagonal, we get a point here and a point here. So those are my four corners of the square, looking like that. This coordinate is 3, -1, and the one on the other side is -3, +1. Question 10. In an experiment, masses are hung on a spring. The length of the spring is measured for each mass. 10 gives that length, 20 gives that length, 30 gives that length, and 40 gives that length. Draw a graph to show the length for the different masses. So we're given the graph. So let's try and draw it. 10 and 10.3. So 10.123 is about there, I think. So that's 10 grams. 20 grams gives a length of 10.6. And 30 grams gives a length of 10.9. So we have to count for 30. Just trying to make sure I get on the right number on the 30. 10.9. And 40 is 11.2. So 40, 11.2 is there. Then you take your ruler and you try and draw a straight line through those points. If you're doing it in science, it may not be a perfect straight line, but this is mathematics and it seems to come out as a nice straight line. So we get a line like that. And then we just have to answer the question. I'll just make it a bit better. Yeah, okay. Then we look for the question. Says, we carry on to the next page. Estimate the length of the spring with no mass on it. When there's no mass, that means 0 grams. So let's find the point corresponding to 0 grams on there's 0. So looking up to the line, we find it's there at 10 centimeters. And second part, how much longer is the spring with a 25 gram mass than a 15? So we have to work out those two on the line. 25, there's 20, there's 30, halfway between them. It's going to be there. That's 25 grams. And trying to there's 15 grams. So try to read these across here. This one is halfway between two squares about there. That's 10.567, 10.75. And the other one for the 15 grams is between 10.4 and 10.5, so it's 10.45. So those are the two lengths corresponding to 15 and 25 grams. So it says what is the difference, so I just have to subtract 10.75 minus 10.45 and I find 0.3. How much longer is it? It's 0.3 centimeters. Number 11. A sequence of pattern uses grey squares and white squares. Here are the first four patterns. Find the total number of squares in pattern number 20. So there's 4 squares in the first pattern. There are 7, then there's 9 plus 1 is 10. The next one is 12 plus 1 is 13. So that's how they go, 4, 7, 10, 13. What do we notice? Well, from there to there, and there to there, and there to there, we are adding 3 each time. 4 plus 3 is 7, 7 plus 3 is 10, 10 plus 3 is 13. So work out the total number of squares in pattern 20. And there's different ways of doing this, but I could say I'm starting with 4. I always start with 4. And then I have to add how many 3's to get to pattern number 20. To get to pattern number 2, I add 3 once. To pattern number 3, I add 3 twice. So to get to pattern 20, I've got to add 3 19 times. So I've got 19 lots of 3 added to the 4. So I've got 57 plus 4, 61 squares. And the second part, complete the number machine for the sequence of patterns, number of grey squares, multiplied by something, add something, gives a number of white squares. So let's look at the picture. What do I have to do to the grey squares to get the white squares? I have one on each side and one at the top. Here I have, for the 2, pattern number 2, I've got 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and 1 at the top. And third one, so we're always adding the same number on left and right and then adding 1 afterwards. So we're doubling the number of grey squares to get the left and right and then plus 1. So double means multiply by 2 and then add 1, the one at the top there. Number 12a. In a school, boys and girls are in the ratio of 1 to 1 and 1/3. What fraction of the children are boys? 1 to 1 and 1/3 is not very nice because it's a fraction inside a ratio. Let's try and make it simpler by multiplying the left and the right by the same number. So 1 and 1/3 is 4/3. So what can I do to the left and the right to change it to whole numbers? I can multiply by 3. Left and right. 3 times 1 will be 3. And 3 times 4/3 will be 4. And that's a much nicer ratio to work with. What fraction of the children are boys? So it means boys to girls is equal to 3 to 4. For every 3 boys there are 4 girls. Well, fraction of boys means there are 3 out of a total of 7. Part B. There are 180 boys in the school. How many children are there altogether in the school? So we know the ratio is 3 to 4. So let's call the number of boys. Let's write it down first of all. 3 to 4. So let's say the number of boys is 3x. Okay, and the girls 4x, for example. Then we know that there are 180 boys, so 3x equals 180. So x equals, divide by 3, 60. So we can work out the girls now. Girls will be 4 times x, and 4 times 60 is 240. So we've got 240 girls and 180 boys. Add those together to get the total. And we get 420 for the number of boys and girls altogether. Number 13, says Gavin and Stacey have £2,500 to spend on food at their wedding. And here are their two options. We have Wicked Weddings, which says normal price £34 per person, special offer 10% off. Or Carl, the caterer, he has prices depending on how many people you have at your wedding. 80 and over is £28 per person, 60 to 79 is 30, and if it's up to 59 people, it's £35 per person. Work out the maximum number of people that Gavin and Stacey can pay for. So let's see. There's two lots of calculations to do here. We've got to do one lot for Wicked Weddings and another lot for Carl the caterer. So I'll divide my page into two. Wicked Weddings. £34 per person, but 10% off. If 10% is taken off, that means you're left with 90%. 90 is 90 over 100. 90% of 34 would be the new price. Use your calculator. 0.9 times 34, and I get £30 and 60 pence. So they've got, if you remember, £2,500 to spend. So we take the total amount of money and divide it by the price per person, £30 and 60 pence. If you work that out, we get on your calculator, what do I get 81.69 something. And so it means we can afford 81 people. They can have 81 people there if they go with Wicked Weddings. Now if they go with Carl, now what does he say? 80 people and over, he charges £28 per person. So can they manage 80 first of all? Let's see if they can manage 80 people. So if I was to say 80 people times £28, what does that come to on your calculator? And when we do that, we see that it comes to 2240, which is less than the 2,500 that they had. So they can manage that. So they can go with his final price of £28 and say 2,500 is what they've got to spend. And all of them, they will pay £28 per person. So just divide by 28. And we will get whatever the calculator tells us. And I think it's 89.28 something. So that means they can pay for 89 people if they go with Carl the caterer. So the maximum number that they can pay for is 89. Question 14. Solve 4 brackets x minus 3 equals 11. So 4 times x we multiply out the bracket, is 4x minus 12 equals 11 on the right. Let's take the add 12 to both sides. So I've got 4x on the left now equals 11 plus 12 is 23 on the right hand side. So x, I want to get rid of that 4, it's multiplying it, so I must divide by 4 on both sides, and I get 23 divided by 4, and you can use your calculator if you like, and get 5.75 as our answer for x. Question 15. 140 grams of aluminium have a volume of 50 cubic centimeters. Work out the volume of 84 grams of aluminium. So 140 grams have a volume of 50. So 1 gram of aluminium has a volume. We take that total volume, 50, and divide it by 140 number of grams. And if you work that out with your calculator, you'll get 0. You have to do it carefully with your calculator. 0.357, and there are other digits. I'll write it all down. Yeah, you have to be careful here. If you don't write all the digits, then you might lose some accuracy. So the cost, or the volume now, of 84 grams, if 1 gram had that volume, then 84 grams has a volume of 84 times that number, times 0.35, etc. ... But I mean that long number. And if you do that accurately with the full accuracy of a calculator, you'll find that it comes to, what does it come to? 30 cubic centimeters.